what are my basic rights as someone who has had a cancer diagnosis in relation to employment?
Okay, well, your basic rights are that you are deemed as disabled under the Equality Act of 2010, and that means that your employment rights are fully protected. So you cannot be discriminated against in terms of recruitment, training, promotion, anything in terms of how you leave work because of your diagnosis of cancer. And that applies to you not only from the point of diagnosis, but for the rest of your life, however well you are. So that is a protection that will always be in place for any person who's been diagnosed with cancer. And one of the key elements of the Equality Act is that when you're returning to work, and we'll come on to this later, an employer is required to make a number of adjustments that will help you return to work in a way that works for you. And no employer can ignore those provisions. So it's important that once you've been diagnosed with cancer, you realise that you're fully protected from discrimination.
Thank you. And when you say that when you have a cancer diagnosis, you are protected under the Disability Act, is that something you have to apply for? Or?
No, it applies immediately. The issue is that most people who've been given a cancer diagnosis have no idea because nobody tells you that. Many employers don't tell you that either. So it's an important piece of information that everyone needs to have, but you don't need to apply for anything. It applies immediately.
Okay, thank you. And in terms of the rights you do have, if you are in employment and, for example, you have your cancer diagnosis, is your employer therefore under an obligation to keep your job open for you?
Absolutely they are. They are required. I mean, there are certain rights and responsibilities. So as somebody who's been diagnosed with cancer, you have a responsibility to let your employer know that you've had cancer so they can put in place the support that you need in order to remain in work and have your job kept there for you. But as an employer, it is equally your responsibility to use or be aware of the Equality Act and to put the appropriate protections in place.
Okay, and does that include pay? Are you protected in terms of being paid?
Yeah, well, anyone who's normally been diagnosed with cancer will be eligible to sick pay for a period of time, after which they can normally claim statutory sick pay. It's important that an employer, though, keeps to the letter of the law in what their own kind of terms and conditions of employment are. So yes, they're absolutely required to pay you for as long as their sick pay policy allows them to, requires them to.
Mm-hmm. And if that sick pay runs out, is there anything else that people can?
Yes, as I say, there's statutory sick pay that is available to employees for up to 28 weeks. And if that runs out, then any employee who's certainly made national insurance contributions can apply for something called employee support allowance, so employment support allowance, which can be made available for over a year or more if it's quite clear that you've got cancer and you need that support. So that's something which people should apply for through their job centre.
Okay, thank you very much.